Welcome to Get Jaded
The Electrolysis Podcast.
with Jennifer
And Janine.
Hi everybody, I'm Jennifer Delage and I'm the CEO with Jade Clinics. And I've been doing electrolysis since 1989.
And I'm her daughter, Janine Jost, and I've been doing electrolysis since 1998. So combined, we have 60 some odd years.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
A lot.
So
Yeah, so how about today we talk about hair removal, the methods that are out there and available, the pros and cons to them. And let's start with what we know the best, which is electrolysis, right?
yes.
So what do you think about electrolysis, Nini?
Well, obviously, I think it's the best because that's what I do, and I want to help people get the best results they can get. So, electrolysis is the only FDA-approved permanent method. So, we're going to we can get any hair color, any skin color, anybody, doesn't matter. Pretty much eyebrows to toes. If you've got hair that you don't want, we can kill it.
Yeah, any hair, anywhere.
That's right.
That's our little tagline. So electrolysis is only as good as your practitioner, though. And there's a few parameters that you might want to look for if you're going out and seeking a good electrologist. One, you shouldn't feel that needle go in. There's a hole that the hair is growing out of, and that needle is going right in beside the hair in that hole. So no feeling there. You should feel the current. It should be uncomfortable,
but not too bad with numbing cream.
Yeah,
it's
not too bad.
A lot less uncomfortable.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. But it should be uncomfortable. That way they're working at your threshold. Mm-hmm. And that's going to save time and money.
Yeah.
Right? And the third parameter is that you shouldn't feel that hair being pulled out. So if you're feeling a tweeze or a tug, that means that the hair hasn't been treated properly. But in the first couple treatments, that can happen just because of the age of the hair.
Yes, old hairs have little balls on the end of them. They're like crystallized balls. And once it's treated, it kind of pops out of the follicle, and there's nothing you can really do about that.
Give to it.
I usually give the clients notice that was an old hair, so don't worry if you felt it come out. Mm-hmm. The next time it comes back, we'll give it a good
right.
go. Yeah.
And that's only usually the first couple treatments. After that, if you stay on a proper schedule, and what we recommend is 2 to 3 weeks for the face and 6 to 8 weeks for body work, then the electrologist is going to be running into the growing hairs,
yeah, all the time.
Which are very pliable. They come out of the follicle without a pull.
They slide out.
Yeah, without any tweeze.
Yeah, my clients joke because I always say, "Oh, that was a juicy one."
Yeah,
and they laugh.
Yeah. Good sign of a good electrologist.
I had my client. Yeah, I had a client say she was at a dinner with her friends, and they're like, she's like, "Yeah, my electrolysis says when she has juicy hairs come out," and they thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a sign of a good electrologist
it is.
too.
Yeah.
And the second sign actually of a good electrologist is they just don't want to stop.
Yeah.
Until every hair is
I've
gone.
had that happen. Yeah. I'm doing a couple of transgender beard removals right now, and I'm like, the hour's up already. I just want to keep going. They're so fun.
It's so much fun. The day just flies by, right?
27 years has flown by, really.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It's so good. And what would you say, how do you determine cost and timelines for people with this?
So what we do is with our company is a free consultation, right? So we're going to have you come in, we're going to take a look at the area, ask some questions, see what you've done with the hair, what the hair looks like. We'll do a little sample treatment, and then we can kind of give you an idea of what it's going to take, right? So everyone's different. Everyone's got a different amount of hair. Everyone's had different things done with the hair. So all those factors are going to affect the time and the cost. So we always give everybody kind of an estimation on their issues, right? So, for face work, it's typically around a year, depending on the situation. If they have a lot of hair, it might take a little bit longer. If they miss some treatments along the way, it can also take longer because we're missing that hair cycle. So you have to get that hair cycle the next time it comes in. So what I say to clients is if they have missed a treatment, like say they go away or something, I just tell them it's okay. Life happens. We'll get it the next time it comes back. But that hair cycle isn't back for 3 months. So tax on on about 3 months onto the end of your treatments every time you miss a treatment, right? So it can make it take a lot longer. But if a client stays on track and comes in when their next cycle is in the proper time frame, a year is a very reasonable expectation.
Yeah. I always say the year starts ticking down once you're getting full clearing. Because like you said, with someone that has a lot of hair, you may not be getting all the hair each time.
Absolutely.
So then it's going to take longer, right? Because you're not getting results on hairs that aren't being treated.
Yes.
Right? Also, finer hair has a longer growth cycle. So I always estimate a little bit longer when I'm doing what we call peach fuzz, right? Because that hair doesn't come back for 12 to 14 weeks. Whereas a coarse hair, it's usually around 4-6 weeks at when that hair comes back, right? So timeline is usually about a year, whether it's body work or whether it's face work. Sometimes fine hair, it can be up to 2 years. But what we find, or what I find a lot, is clients usually by that 3-month point, that's when they're really starting to see the results, and they're starting to ask you about
other areas.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. They want to move on.
We've literally had clients do from eyebrows to toes.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Do you remember that client in Alberta that we had? Remember, she came in on a Saturday for 8 hours with both of us. So you worked on one side, I worked on I think about this client all the time still.
Wow.
And she would do the 8 hours, and she did no numbing. Remember, she put the towel over her head or the blanket, and she just like zoned out. Yeah. It was so crazy. I was just like so blown away. The first treatment, I was thinking, is she alive? Is she breathing? I kept asking if she was okay, because I'm like, how is she doing this? Like 2 of us working on her, no freezing, no nothing. She was like
she just wanted it bad.
Oh,
I find that determination is a great painkiller, right?
It is, but I mean, that was like...
That's unusual.
That was,
Not too many people can do that, for sure. Okay, so we know timelines. We know what to look for. Is there anything else we're missing with electrolysis?
Yeah, I think one thing you want to look for, or there's a few things you want to look for when you're like going into an electrolysis studio, okay? So, we use in our clinics, we use microscopes. So they allow you to see up to 600 times closer to the skin. So that's going to give you like much more accurate, faster results. So the better we can see, the better we can kill your hair. So
yeah, and we have video on YouTube if you want to go see what we see through the microscope. It's very eye-opening.
You might get addicted like we are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. What else?
So you want to make sure that they're wearing gloves, obviously. You want to make sure they use disposable needles. That is super important for like cleanliness. I don't know if there's still salons that keep people's needles in their files.
I would hope not. But
I've
you never
heard
know.
From clients that the last person they saw kept their needle in their file, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So
disposable needles are actually what the health department tells us we have to do, but I mean, people break rules, I guess. I would hope not, but you never know. Sterilizers.
Yes.
Autoclaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure the forceps, the tips that are being used, anything that's, forceps and tips, basically.
Yeah. Eye cups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also cleaning the room, right?
In between
clients. We use swipes and we disinfect
swipes
the room.
are hospital grade cleansing wipes, so we clean down everything that the clients laid on anywhere in that.
Kills everything in a minute. Yeah. In 1 minute. So, those are the things. Maybe a certificate on the wall, making sure that they're because training. In Canada and some of the states, they don't need any certification at all to just say they're an electrologist
and that's where the not feeling the needle go in and feeling the current, not feeling the hair come out is going to be a big indicator on whether they've been trained properly. Because if you're feeling any of those things, then
chances are they
keep looking.
Yeah, keep looking. Yeah. So those are that's it for electrolysis, I'd say. Best option for hair removal. You're going to have beautiful skin in the end and no hair. Next up, let's talk about laser. First thing I want to say is a lot of people don't understand that laser and electrolysis are two different things. So laser is a machine. It uses radiation. It must see the difference in the hair pigment. So if the skin is the same color as the hair, if the skin is dark and the hair is dark, it can't see the difference. If the hair is light and the skin is light, you can't see the difference. So typically gray hair, red hair, blonde hair cannot be treated or will not see any significant
Someone
difference.
with dark skin, that's why they say you can't have a tan, because the laser will literally just shoot at the darkness. Like it's looking for the melanin in the hair, right? So if your skin has a lot of melanin in it, it's just going to shoot at the skin. And I actually had a client who had that situation happen where she went in for laser for her legs, and she's Fijian, I think, isn't she?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, she had gotten like a 2nd-degree burn on her leg from the laser because her skin was so dark, it just shot at the skin. And she ended up finishing her legs with us, and then she started working for us.
a lot of our clients come through that route. You know, laser did something really good for us in the hair removal industry because it brought hair removal out of the closet. Back when I started in 1989, people were embarrassed about having hair. Like they didn't realize that it was a common thing. 9 out of 10 women have facial hair.
Oh yeah.
Right? So laser really made it more mainstream.
That's true.
I really appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
Personally, we don't do laser because electrolysis we feel
better.
is better, our opinion.
Well, we can do any hair color, any skin color. There's no, parameters that you have to meet to be able to do electrolysis, because if we can see the hair, we can kill it, right?
Absolutely.
So the laser, it's a machine. It can't see the difference. It's only doing what it's made to do, right?
Yeah.
And even somebody that has light skin and dark hair, it's not going to be a permanent solution for life. That's why a lot of places give lifetime memberships. It's because that person will need touch-ups, right, down the road.
And that's really concerning to have that type of treatment every 6 weeks typically.
Yeah.
It's over top of
we don't know the long-term
results.
Not just
damage.
Results, but like, what could happen to the skin at being, laser. Like you said, it's radiation, right? So that many times over and over and over throughout your life, there's no long-term studies, to show us, right?
Hasn't been around that long, like 25 years now or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it is something, a buyer beware, because there isn't a history. Electrolysis has been around since 1869.
Yeah.
We know there's no long-term side effects, right?
Safe, yeah.
It's safe. Anything else about laser?
I was just going to say something about that, because if a client's worried about like electrolysis being, dangerous, I just tell them that, listen, my mom started working on me when I was like 8 or something. You did my eyebrows.
Yeah.
And if it were dangerous, she would have never touched me with it, because she's like the most protective helicopter parent there is.
This is
I
true.
love you, but that usually calms their nerves, because it's if you're willing to work on me, and I mean, my youngest client was 7, so
my youngest was 6.
Yeah,
I actually had a young girl come to me, a referral from an optometrist. Her eyelashes, a lot of them were growing in, and she was actually going blind. And she was such a trooper. I only had to treat her twice.
Ouch, hey?
Yeah,
Lashes,
she probably will always have to wear like eyelashes when she's an adult. But, we saved her eyes.
That's amazing.
So that's how electrolysis actually came to be. And that was back in 1869. So.
Yeah, people were going blind from their ingrown eyelashes.
Yeah, like eyelashes, instead of curling out, some people, they curl in. And every time they shut their eye, that scratches the cornea, and it does cause blindness. So also, one of the things that really concerns me about laser, and we see this a lot in our practice, is that people sometimes get accelerated growth.
Yes.
And there's no rhyme or reason for this. It's just a very random thing. A lot of times, the darker skinned people seem to have more of this issue, but
I don't know what causes it, but like they'll say they went in for laser on their chin and had a few strays here and there, and then after a few sessions with laser, it was like more were coming in. And it's like, oh, what? We don't know why, but that's really unfortunate, because you're going in to get rid of those few hairs that are there, and then all of a sudden it's making the situation worse, and now you have to spend more time with us because there's more hair to kill, which is really, really unfortunate. There doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason, but
I know some of the more reputable laser companies don't work on faces for that reason. But there's always, people that are able to buy a laser that are in a...
Well, and that's another thing too. There's no real training required to be a laser technician, right?
I think a lot of times the company that sells them
give them like a day
for
like
a few
to show you
hours.
them how to use the machine, basically, right? Like it's not, there's no training required. Whereas with electrolysis, we spend
500 hours.
500 hours
typically.
learning
Yeah.
how to do our job. So it, there's no skill at all necessary. So.
Yeah. So I think that's it for laser. Eh? That wraps it up.
I think so. Yeah, I can't think if you have, if you got any other questions about laser, let us know in the comments.
Well, we're not the specialists in the laser industry, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Right? But it's our opinions about laser. And I think the next thing we want to talk about, shaving?
Sure.
It's an easy one. I always say with my clients that shaving and electrolysis can go hand in hand. It actually can help us with the electrolysis. If someone shaves a week before their treatment for, say, their legs, then we're going to be able to see the hairs that are in active growth for that first treatment. Instead of, hitting the hairs that are in the shedding stage, we just pass by those, wait for them to come out in the active growing stage later on. And for faces, same thing, but generally, no one's going to let their
a lot of people have reservations, though, about shaving their faces. They think, like, that's a man thing to do, and it's going to make the hairs worse. That's one of the biggest myths in all of hair removal, is that shaving makes hair grow back stronger. There's no way it can possibly do that. The way I explain it is, like, you think about all the bald men on earth that shave their heads religiously, right? Is their hair growing back? No, if they, So also girls, when they're like teenagers, they start shaving their legs. It's not because they're shaving that their hair is getting thicker. It's because they're going through puberty.
Yeah, and
it's
also,
a hormonal thing, right?
Also, the hairs look thicker because
you've cut the tip off.
The fine tip
just
is
like
gone.
Cutting your hair, right? You're just cutting the tip
blunt.
off, so it's blunt.
Yeah,
so that's where people get really confused with shaving.
Yeah,
and they think it's going to make it worse, and it's like, no, it's not gonna. It doesn't increase the blood supply under the skin to make the hair thicker. You just feels thicker, but once it grows back out, it'll be
exactly the same
size.
And that was actually proved by Dr. Mildred Trotter back in 1948. She was a doctor and did research on this exact thing. If you think about it, you're just taking the hair off the surface. You're not changing anything under the skin. So how could that possibly make a difference and cause the hair to grow back?
Almost everybody I talk to.
Well, mothers tell daughters.
Yeah, it's been a generational thing that's been handed down, right? So
an urban myth.
I always tell clients I'd way rather you shave than anything else, because anything else is gonna affect our sessions, our results.
Yeah, definitely anything that pulls the hair out.
And if they're not comfortable shaving their faces too, I just you can grab a pair of like nail clippers sometimes if they got bigger hairs, I say that, or scissors, and just trim down the big ones.
That doesn't help us with the growth cycle though. If they shave, it does.
But if they're not comfortable with shaving, not every client is going to be comfortable with that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. But
it doesn't make the hair worse, so there's nothing wrong with it. So that is a myth that needs to be.
Yeah, and if electrolysis is not something you can afford at this time, then shaving would be your better next option. Yeah. Right? Because you're not going to make the hair worse.
Yeah, we'll talk about that with the plucking and waxing.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's go on to that. So let's talk about things that remove the hair by the root. So tweezing is selective. That's where it shines more than waxing, because waxing takes all the hair off. Yeah. And that encourages blood flow to the follicles, which increases the hair.
Yeah, so when you're ripping that hair out of off the skin, it's taking the follicles with it and bringing the blood supply. You're damaging the follicle, so it's making more blood to heal the damaged follicle, which makes the hair bigger over time.
Yeah, it's food.
And even those baby fine hairs that were fine hairs before will start to get thicker. So it's going to make your situation so much worse over the long run. And what I tell clients too is that what happens sometimes is they think it's getting better with the waxing because they think there's less hair coming back. But that's actually our bodies are so smart that the hair will stop growing because it's like, I don't want to be ripped out, right? And that can be up to 6 months. So a client that say they wax their bikini line every, month, when they're coming to see us in the beginning, that 6 month after their last wax comes, and all of a sudden they've got this like bush of hair.
Yeah.
Right? Have you, like, I see
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. And they're just like,
Absolutely.
where did all this hair come from? I'm like, those were the ones that were laying dormant.
Yeah. Well, they're in
That
shock.
they were in shock. They didn't want to be ripped out anymore. Now it's been enough time. Your body's like, okay, I'm not going to be ripped out anymore, so it can grow.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So beware
Yeah.
that can happen.
And another side effect of waxing or tweezing is that, especially with waxing, it's pulled out at the opposite direction to what it's naturally growing.
So you get
And
more
that can
ingrowns.
twist the follicles and cause ingrowns.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those ingrowns can get so bad that they have to be surgically removed.
Infected.
Yeah, they can be cystic. And I've seen many clients with that issue where a doctor's recommended that they come to us because of the ingrowns.
Oh, yeah.
So, buyer beware when you're ripping hairs out the opposite direction. It can create some really bad
Significant
issues.
problems. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Sugaring, people sometimes talk about. It's the same as waxing. It's just a different byproduct that they're using. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as waxing, right?
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other temporary, permanent methods of hair removal?
I think we covered it.
I think we covered everything. If we've missed anything,
Let us know.
let us know.
Oh, no, threading.
Oh, yes. Okay. Same as waxing, I guess. You're just ripping them out, right?
Yeah.
They
use
two
a
threads.
string. They use a string to pull them out, right? So same idea. It's going to increase blood supply. It's going to make the hair stronger, thicker over time.
Yeah.
Not recommended.
Not recommended. All right. So that's our podcast for today, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on Get Jaded
The Electrolysis Podcast.
with Jennifer.
And Janine.
And hey, if you have questions about electrolysis or permanent hair removal, just send it to info@jadeclinics.com and we'll talk about it on future podcasts.
And check out our website at jadeclinics.com and like and follow us on social media.
And see you next time. Bye.